taking care of the customers, and I thought that was the most fun in the world.
Oh, he looked very handsome in his Navy uniform. So we didn't have a long courtship, but it just worked. Well, the beginning of the business, nobody knew anything about the hotel business.
When we opened our first hotel at the 14th Street Bridge in Washington, which we call Twin Bridges, I went to my dad one day and I said, "Why don't you let me try and run this hotel?" He said, "Well, you know anything about the hotel business." I said, "I know, but neither does anybody else around here."
I think putting people first means listen to their concerns, giving people an audience, giving them an opportunity. Well, every time we open a hotel in the community, we hire people that are not trained. We say we hire friendly and train technical.
You can start as a bellman or washing dishes and grow to managing a hotel. I mean, the company really takes pride in that.
When you look at the fact that 50% of our general managers came out of the early ranks, and the average general manager has been around for 25 years, that says something about the enduring culture and the core value of the company.
Bill, why don't you tell us? Well, why don't you just tell us a few of the steps from that one hotel to almost where we are today?
I was looking out the window of my room before I came down on Stemmons Freeway, and I told my wife Donna, I said, 1960, I stood in the middle of that freeway before it was paved. It had just been graded. And we had a location right on the corner down where the Sheraton Suites is for a hotel. My father was standing there, and I said, I think we really ought to build a hotel in that spot. It's going to be a great location for us. It'll be our third hotel. And again, he told me, he says, hell no, what do you know about the hotel business? I said, well, not much, but I'm willing to learn. And that was number 3 hotel. And it's been a great journey. It's been a lot of fun. The best part about it, I think, is providing opportunities for other people. As Deborah Lee said, we really hire a lot of people and we promote them and train them. I said in the film that 50% of our general managers have come through the hourly ranks and have been with us for more than 25 years. And I think that's the kind of company we've strived to build through these years. We started with very humble beginnings, as you saw in the film, and today we are a big company.
Well, it's really incredible what you built, Bill. You've always put a huge amount of emphasis on the culture and your employees, and you always have a phrase, which I've heard you bring out, which is, what do you think? So what's behind that phrase of, what do you think?
Well, I came home from my first year in the Navy. I've been commissioned as an ensign. I came home for Christmas time, and my dad said, well, we're going down to our farm, and President Eisenhower is going to meet us down there. This was 1954. And he's going to go hunting, quail hunting. And so we got him down there, and it was really bitter cold. It was December, it was 20 degrees outside, the wind was blowing. We were standing around by the fire trying to decide whether or not Ike was going to go out and shoot quail, which we put all over the farm, so we had plenty of birds to shoot. And the question became one, should we stand by the fire and stay warm, or should we go out and freeze to death and try and shoot some quail? And Eisenhower turned around to me, and I was the lowliest officer in the Navy at that point. And he said to me, what do you think we should do, Bill? And I said, it's cold out there, let's stay in by the fire. And we did. But I thought about that a lot, and he was the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces in Europe when we finished the war. I thought, he's used that expression, what do you think, many, many times. That's how he dealt with all the egos, of the Montgomery, one of your Brits, and Patton, one of ours, and pulled them all together, de Gaulle and Churchill and all of them to win the war. And I'm sure he did it by including people, asking those magical words, what do you think? And I got to thinking about that some more, and I said to myself, if you think you're the smartest guy in the room, and you don't have to ask somebody, what do you think? Pretty soon you'll be the only guy in the room. Because nobody will be on your team because they want to participate. Sometimes they are pretty vocal about what they have to say, but a lot of the time it's just, I've been heard, the boss heard what I had to say, and he made a little different decision, but I was included. And that comes back to those magic words, what do you think?
That's very, very good. Bill, you joined Marriott in 1956 and you became CEO in 1972. And so in all that time, 60 years in the industry, what do you think are the biggest talents and features of a good leader? What should they really have?
Well, I think a good leader is a good listener. I think a good leader leaves his ego at the door. We had President Bush last night talk to a few of us, and he said humility is important. I think it's very important because it's the humility that invites people into the game, that you're approachable, people will talk to you and consider you. And I think a good leader in our business follows what we've always believed in our company, which is take good care of your employees, they'll take good care of the customer, and the customer will come back. And so taking care of employees is really important. We just spent some time at our Camelback Inn Hotel, Donna and I, and it's a beautiful property, lots of flowers, lots of shrubs, lots of green grass, beautiful little casitas around the place. I probably talked to 20 or 30 customers. They say we love this hotel because we love the people. It wasn't the flowers, it wasn't the pretty grass, it wasn't the mountains, it was just the beautiful people who, and then they said they cared about me. They remembered me, I'd been here before, they knew what I liked to eat, and they said this place is the best because of the people.
And in all this time in building this business, you've obviously taken some risks, right? What would be your biggest risk or your second biggest risk, and how did you overcome it, and what was the success?
Well, I've taken a lot of risks, and probably the biggest single risk for me back in 1982 was to build the New York Marriott Marquis Hotel, 2,000 rooms in Times Square. Times Square was pretty seedy back then, and nobody was building in Times Square. They turned their back on Times Square. I had a friend who had a 200-room hotel in Times Square, and he was running 90% occupancy. The rest of the city was New York was running 70%. I said, why? He said, because of the theater. So we fill up every weekend with theater guests, and then during the week we fill up with business people. So we rolled the dice, built a 2,000-room hotel in Times Square. It worked out fine, but it took 3 or 4 years to build up the occupancy, and today it's done very, very, very well. It was a huge risk at the time.
I know you're very, very passionate, and you're very, very inquisitive. I remember I was in Prague in 1989, and just looking around, sort of feeling out whether I should be in, and out you came out of an elevator. There was about 5 people behind you, and I said to my executive, we got to be here. Bill Marriott's here. So what makes you, still to this day, think and always looking ahead, being ahead of everybody? How do you keep ahead?
Well, you know, I think you have to take the word success is never final. And you have to think that you're going to do that. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about Starwood because that seems to be on everybody's mind. At least it's been on me and Arnie Sorensen's mind, I'll tell you that. Anyway, it took a lot of courage on the part of our team to recommend that we make this big bet. But that comes down to success is never final. If you've got to move the ball ahead, Sisyphus, I guess, was always trying to move it up the hill and was always rolling back down on top of him. But we want to keep moving ahead and moving the ball ahead, and that's why we're doing the Starwood thing.
Chris Wallace interviewed you, and you were talking about the millennials. And I think you really said this is very, very going to be a very important part of your business, and I think it's now 60% of your business. So tell us about that and how you went down that route ahead of everybody else.
Well, I'm not sure we're ahead of everybody else, but we're trying. We're developing a hotel brand called Moxie, and that's a lower-priced hotel for the millennials. I don't think I'd stay there. I don't think you'd stay there. But there's no closet. They got pegs on the wall. They call them a peg wall. And you hang your clothes up on the pegs, but the millennials don't unpack their suitcases, so they won't use those pegs anyway. I tell them when I see them around our corporate offices, they look like they haven't unpacked their bags.